Have you ever loved someone
She's
so
gone.
deeply that losing them felt like losing
I know.
yourself? 3 months ago,
I
my
came for
girlfriend
you.
vanished without a goodbye. No phone call, no message, no explanation. Everyone told me she had left me for someone else, but I refused to believe it. Then one rainy afternoon, there was a knock on my door. Standing outside was her mother. I looked at her and quietly said, "She's gone." She smiled through her tears and replied, "I know. I came for you." What she placed on my table a few moments later changed everything I thought I knew about love. For 3 years, Emily and I shared everything, or at least I thought we did. We met at a small bookstore in Charleston, South Carolina, where she accidentally spilled coffee on my favorite novel. She laughed, apologized, and insisted on buying me another copy. That awkward moment turned into our first date, and before long, she became the person I couldn't imagine living without. Every Friday evening we walked along the waterfront, dreaming about a little house with a porch, a golden retriever, and the family we hoped to build someday. Then without warning, she disappeared. One Monday morning, my texts stopped delivering. Her phone went straight to voicemail. I rushed to her apartment, but the landlord told me she had moved out over the weekend. There was no forwarding address, no note, nothing. Her social media accounts vanished one by one, as if she had erased herself from the world overnight. Friends kept telling me to move on. Some believed she'd found someone else. Others said maybe she'd simply fallen out of love. But none of those explanations sounded like Emily. She wasn't the kind of person who would disappear without saying goodbye. For 3 long months, I searched everywhere. I called hospitals, checked nearby towns, and even drove past places we used to visit, hoping I'd catch a glimpse of her. Every lead ended in disappointment. Eventually, exhaustion replaced hope. I stopped searching, not because I'd found peace, but because I had no idea where else to look. Then, on a cold, rainy Saturday afternoon, someone knocked on my front door. Standing on my porch was a woman I recognized instantly, Emily's mother, Linda. She looked older than I remembered, her eyes swollen from countless sleepless nights. In her hands was a small, worn leather box, held as though it contained something priceless. The moment I saw her, my chest tightened. I lowered my eyes and quietly said, "She's gone." Linda looked at me with a heartbreaking smile. "I know," she whispered. Then she took one slow step forward and added, "I came for you." Linda carefully pushed the small leather box toward me. My hands shook so badly I could barely lift the lid. Inside was a silver engagement ring. It was the exact ring I had shown Emily months earlier, while joking about the kind of ring I'd someday buy for the woman I loved. I had never purchased it, yet somehow it was sitting in front of me. Beneath the ring lay a folded letter with my name written in Emily's familiar handwriting. The moment I recognized those letters, every emotion I had buried for 3 months came rushing back. I unfolded the paper. "If you're reading this, I'm no longer here to explain why I disappeared."
My vision blurred.
I found out I had an aggressive form of cancer. The doctors told me I had very little time. I couldn't bear the thought of watching you slowly lose me, so I made the hardest decision of my life. I asked Mom to help me leave without saying goodbye. A tear landed on the page. "You once told me that if anything ever happened to me, you'd never stop searching. That's exactly why I couldn't tell you. I wanted your last memory of me to be on the Charleston pier, laughing at the seagulls stealing our fries, not lying in a hospital bed connected to machines." I couldn't breathe. Every unanswered phone call, every sleepless night, every moment I wondered if she had stopped loving me. It had never been about love. It had been about protecting me. Linda quietly sat across from me, tears filling her own eyes. "I begged her to tell you," she whispered, "but she kept saying, if he watches me disappear one day at a time, he'll never forgive himself for not saving me." I stared at the ring resting in my palm. "I was going to ask her to marry me," I said, my voice breaking. Linda nodded slowly. "I know." She reached into her purse and pulled out a second envelope. "Emily wanted me to wait until you finished reading the first one." I opened it carefully. Inside was a single photograph. It was taken on the day we first met at the bookstore. On the back, Emily had written, If life had given me another 10 years, I would have spent every one of them with you, but since it didn't, promise me you'll spend yours living enough for both of us." I could no longer hold back my tears. For the first time in months, I cried without trying to hide it. Linda walked over and wrapped her arms around me like I was her own son. Through her tears, she whispered, "She never stopped loving you, not for a single day." I closed my eyes, holding the ring against my heart. Emily hadn't left because she wanted to. She left because she believed that was the only way to save the man she loved from watching her fade away. And in that heartbreaking moment, I realized that the greatest love story of my life hadn't ended with goodbye. It ended with one final promise: to keep living, carrying her love with me wherever life would lead.